Now with shows like Frieren, Delicious in Dungeon, and Wisteria, the almost dead fantasy genre has made the greatest comeback into the anime world. And I'm talking about real fantasy here, not isekai, where the dude reincarnates as a freaking watermelon and gets a harem, that kind of crap, you know. So it's now or never for us weebs to get a deep dive into the realm of fantasy anime. And today I'm here to do just that, as I have the top 10 fantasy anime that you have to watch at all costs. Yes, something's on the line here, and it's our dignity. So without further delay, let's dig in. And to start off the list, we have The Day I Became a God, a show from the same legend who made tearjerkers like Clannad and Angel Beats, so that's a pretty heavy disclaimer for those who can't hold back their tears. And this anime starts off with a rather quirky premise where our main character, a normal high school boy, meets a self-proclaimed god who announces that the world will end in 30 days. That would give me a panic attack, that's for sure. But at first glance, the goddess's antiques and divine proclamations bring a lot of humor to the show, with absurd situations almost like the melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya. But as the series progresses, it delves into deeper emotional territory, dealing with themes of loss, acceptance, and the fragile nature of life. So what begins as a lighthearted comedy turns into something far more emotional. As it's typical for the author's work, it's a gradual shift from comedy to complete heartache, much like the tonal shift seen in Angel Beats. The only complaint I have with this anime is that while gradually building up to the show's emotional climax, the pacing could have been just a little bit smoother. The show's animation is consistently beautiful, particularly in the scenic shots that emphasize the fleeting nature of time. So while The Day I Became a God may not be as universally loved as the author's other works, it still manages to deliver a powerful message about life. Then at number 9 we have Lord Marksman and Venedis. Combine medieval warfare, magical archery, and a cast of strong-willed warrior women. What do you get? Well, frankly, it's this show. And for the story, we have a skilled archer who somehow finds himself thrust into the middle of a grand war between kingdoms. And only if the twist ended there, cause dude then goes on and joins a squad of beautiful, powerful Venedis, well, warrior women, blessed with magical weapons. If I only was this lucky. Anyways, while the show leans heavily into its harem elements, it manages to balance fan service with actual plot progression, most of the time. And if you're a fan of the Rising of the Shield Hero, you will definitely recognize the mix of strategy and fantasy action, through Venedis definitely leans more into its magical elements. The series shines best during its large-scale battles where the main character's archery skills come in clutch, and the political intrigue adds layers of complexity to the otherwise straightforward narrative. The art and animation is solid with flashy battles and well-designed characters that fit the high fantasy setting, but I only wish that it had dived just a bit more into the strategical battles than the typical cliches. So if you're in the mood for something that mixes epic battles with a dash of romance and comedy, Lord Marksman and Venedis might just hit the bullseye. After that, at number 8, we have Record of Grand Crest War. Now, if you enjoy classic high fantasy tales filled with politics, magic, and war, then the Record of Grand Crest War should be on your radar. From the creator of Record of Lodoss War, not sure if many people have watched this one, this anime dives headfirst into a war-torn world where alliances are as fragile as glass and powers are measured in crests. The story follows a knight on a quest to bring peace to the land and a mage who's tired of all the senseless conflict. Together, they challenge the corrupt flow of the world with nothing but their ideals and raw magical prowess. The anime's plot moves at a rapid pace, and sometimes a little too fast, and sometimes a little too rapid, leaving you to struggle to keep up with its rapid developments. But what it's lacking in pacing, it makes up for in epic battle scenes and intense magical duels. And that's precisely the reason this show is here on this list. But the fact that the plot takes a backseat compared to the thrilling fights, well, it's a bit too noticeable at times. And where it feels like the characters are fighting just for the sake of fighting, that's for sure. But still, Record of Grand Crest War delivers a solid fantasy experience with enough twists and turns to keep you invested. So if you can handle the fast pacing this anime offers, well, it's a compelling mix of magic and political intrigue. Then at number 7, we've got Interviews with Monster Girls. Imagine a world where monster girls struggle with the most mundane of high school problems. Talk about breaking the mold. And Dullahan's figuring out wormhole physics just to exist. Yeah, you heard that right. The show ditches the usual fan service-ridden trope-heavy harem setup you might expect from a Monster Girl anime, and instead delivers a surprisingly heartwarming tale of acceptance, understanding, and of course, a ton of science. This is basically a wholesome fantasy you never knew you needed, and at the heart of it is a teacher. And this bear of a biology teacher is the epitome of patience and care, doing his best to help these demigirls adjust to the human world. Unlike the usual dense male protagonist who trips over every female character, yeah, I'm looking at you, high school DxD, the main character actually behaves like an adult, helping his students overcome challenges rooted in their biology, such as a succubus living a life devoid of romance to avoid triggering her powers. Honestly, it's refreshing to see a teacher who isn't just a gag character or a rom-com magnet. This maturity sets the anime apart from others in the genre, giving it a charm that appeals to a wide range of viewers. The show's simplicity works wonders as it tackles deeper issues of identity and fitting in, all while keeping the mood light and colorful. So, Interviews with Monster Girls is an unexpectedly unique fantasy anime that offers both the laughs and the feels, leaving you rooting for these quirky, lovable characters. Next up at number 6, we've got Rage of Bahamut, Genesis. Ever thought that a bounty hunter duo would unintentionally save the world while bickering like an old married couple? Welcome to Rage of Bahamut, Genesis. This fantasy spectacle kicks off with two mismatched bounty hunters stumbling into a mess involving gods, demons, and the potential destruction of the world. And the anime blends high-octane action with comedic chaos, much like Cowboy Bebop meets Fate Zero, but with dragons and angels thrown into the mix. Man, what a premise. What makes Rage of Bahamut truly special is its incredible animation courtesy of, yep, you guessed it, it's MAPPA. The fight scenes are just so fluid, flashy, and visually stunning, like watching a Final Fantasy game come to life. Even when the plot leans into classic fantasy tropes, it does so with enough swag and humor to keep you hooked. The dude's carefree attitude clashes perfectly with the girl's strict sense of justice, and their banter is one of the show's highlights. Throw in a mysterious amnesiac demon girl, and you've got yourself a wild, unpredictable ride. While the anime doesn't always take itself seriously, its world building is top-notch, weaving together lore about gods and demons that feel expansive yet digestible. Sure, the narrative may not be groundbreaking, but Rage of Bahamut delivers a fantastical adventure with a ton of heart and style. Then at number 5, we've got Wandering Witch: The Journey of Elena. This anime brings the adventure of Elena, a witch traveling from town to town, encountering various magical lands and their often grim, sometimes whimsical stories. Think Kino's Journey, but with a broomstick and more sass. Elena's detached attitude towards the places she visits might remind you of Mushishi's Ginkgo, as she rarely interferes with the local issues but takes in the lessons learned from each stop. However, the anime doesn't pull punches with its tone. One of the episodes will have you chuckling over Elena's sarcastic wit, while the next will throw you into a dark moral quandary, like that one time with a village stuck in a time loop that made you question the very nature of free will. And you will love the unpredictability of each episode, much like a grab bag of shows like 91 Days and Death Parade, but set in a fantasy realm. This tonal variety is one of the show's biggest strengths, even if it leaves you emotionally whiplashed at times. The brilliant and stellar animation creates vibrant landscapes and spellbinding magic sequences, and Elena herself is a fascinating protagonist, alternating between relatable and distant. So if you're looking for a mix of magical wonder and dark allegories, Wandering Witch has you covered. Then up next at number 4, we got Sukasuka, also known as World End. What do you do at the end of the world? Are you busy? Will you save us? Or as I like to call it, that anime with the title longer than an entire episode. Sukasuka blends post-apocalyptic gloom with heartfelt character drama. The main character is the last human in a world taken over by magical creatures and becomes a caretaker for a group of leprechauns, who are really just living weapons, destined to battle giant beasts. Sukasuka might lure you in with the cutesy character designs, but it quickly takes a hard left into the land of feels. The show's exploration of sacrifice, loss, and existential dread makes it an emotional roller coaster, much like Made in Abyss. And the main character's interactions with the girls, particularly his growing bond with one of the other characters, are as heartwarming as they are heartbreaking. Their fates are all but sealed, and watching them confront this reality with both bravery and sorrow gives the show its emotional punch. Most of the viewers praise the series for its ability to balance these darker themes with moments of levity, though some critique the slower pacing in the middle episodes. But stick with it and you'll be rewarded with a deeply moving story wrapped in beautiful fantasy world building. The final episodes in particular are guaranteed to leave you in tears, or at the very least, contemplating the fragility of life. And after that, at the third spot, we've got Somali and the Forest Spirit. From the awesome characters to the grandiose story, this anime is everything you could wish for as a fantasy lover. But you wouldn't immediately think about any of this at first, as the show takes a slow start, but when it starts for real, it does get pretty real. The story follows a stoic protector of the forest as he becomes the unlikely father figure to a human child named Somali. Together they journey through a world where humans are hunted to extinction. At its core, Somali is a beautiful exploration of the father-daughter bond between two unlikely companions. The main character with his cold, robotic exterior gradually softens as he grows attached to Somali. The world they travel through is brimming with fantastical creatures and breathtaking landscapes, making each episode feel like a visually stunning postcard from another dimension. The animation studio truly outdid itself with the art and animation, creating a world that feels alive with magic and wonder. This is a show you should watch at least once in your life, and just remember that it starts a little slow. So for fans of slow-paced, emotional-driven fantasy tales, Somali and the Forest Spirit is a must-watch. And then at the runners-up of today's list, we've got No Game No Life, an anime that will never get a season 2. But still, welcome to the dazzling world of No Game No Life, where the stakes of every game are life and death, and the rules of the universe are decided by a deck of cards. As the main characters, a pair of genius siblings known as Blank, is transported to the world of Disboard, where everything is governed by games. Whether it's chess, poker, or some mind-bending game of logic, these two are ready to dominate the battlefield. What makes No Game No Life stand out in both the fantasy and isekai genres is its storytelling and characters, and also its unapologetically vibrant animation by Madhouse. Each frame pops with neon colors, creating a world that feels like a candy-coated fever dream, something that truly makes it look like a fantasy world. The main duo is great, who are both hilariously eccentric and terrifyingly brilliant. Their unbeatable teamwork makes them feel almost like cheat codes personified, taking on gods, kings, and everything in between. However, despite the lighthearted tone and humor, No Game No Life also touches on themes of loneliness, purpose, and the value of human connection, making it deeper than it first appears. And also, there is a bunch of fan service, so go and watch it. But at the top spot of today's list, we have Makia, When the Promised Flower Blooms. Here, you're handed a box of tissues right from the start. It's a crying marathon that rivals even the Clannad tear-jerking saga. This fantasy epic dives into the heartbreak of parenthood with a touch of the mystical and a hefty dose of existential despair. The main character is a member of the Eorth, an ageless race who lives peacefully in their isolated ivory tower world. But when their peaceful existence is shattered by dragon-riding invaders, and the main character is thrust into the harsh reality of raising a child, Ariel, alone in a world where time takes a toll on everyone but her. The beauty of this anime lies in its deep exploration of motherhood, portrayed with a vivid emotional range that makes you want to hug your own mom after watching. While the plot takes bold time skips, sometimes making you feel like you've been hit with a memory loss spell, it conveys the loneliness of eternal life and the transient nature of human relationships. One moment you're feeding a baby, and in the next scene that baby is tossing back drinks at a bar. Awkward, but it works, and is no slouch either. It nails the epic highs and emotional lows of Makia's journey, ultimately leading Makia to a bittersweet meditation on motherhood, love, and loss, wrapped up in a visually enchanting world that offers both heartache and hope. So, if you haven't seen this one yet, I encourage you to go watch it. And that's the list for today, guys. So if you were able to make it this far, please be sure to comment down below on which fantasy anime you think should have been on this list. And also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and press on that bell icon, and set as all to be notified about all our latest new videos. And as for now, I'll catch you later. See you in the next one.